Does laser cutting and engraving have a place in our hobby? That was the first question that came to my mind when I got offered this machine for review. So into this video, I want to show you a few projects I've made with it, and how it ended up making not one, but two aspects of my hobby much more convenient. Now, right off the bat, I want to make it clear that even though this machine can work on all kinds of materials, like wood, cardboard, leather, slate, and so on, and you can do a ton of creative things with it if you're a crafty person, I want to keep this video focused on miniature painting. With that said, I print about 90% of my miniatures at home, but when it comes to bases, printing them in resin isn't the cheapest option for me, especially where I live. Up until now, I've always depended on having them cut out of MDF at my local woodshop. The first thought I had when I saw how compact this machine was if it could cut MDF. And I can say that with the AlgoLaser Pixi, I can now make my own bases at home, and not only with more precision than the woodshop, but also in any custom size I may need. If I suddenly need two 37mm bases for some weird project, I can just make them in minutes. The Pixi also has a working area of 100 by 100mm, so it's not huge, but it's perfect for small to medium-sized hobby projects. Beside bases, it opens up the possibility of making terrain pieces or basing accessories with precision cuts, of which we'll see a bit more of in a bit. But I am sure many of you are familiar with MDF terrain kits. There are plenty of free files available, so with this machine not only can you make them at home, but also make some custom tweaks. But what really caught my curiosity was the possibility of using this machine for backdrops. While I have been painting miniatures for many years, painting a landscape on a flat surface is another story. So I started brainstorming on how I could use the laser to help me out with that. I began with something simple. Using some 1.5mm cardboard, I cut out a few rectangles alongside a window shape, to design what would become the wall of a noblewoman's manor. Of course, my design was extremely simple, but it immediately made me realize just how precise the laser actually was. I'm talking about pieces that were just 1 or 2mm wide, the kind of fine detail that would be a pain to cut by hand. The only real alternative would have been buying the exact same size of balsa wood strips, and even then, creating a more complex shape like the curved edges of the window would have been very difficult by hand. With this machine, your imagination is the only real limit, and honestly, I think I barely scratched the surface of what's possible with this kind of tool. Not only were my first tests fairly simple, but I can already imagine myself using it to make custom small basing bits. I also tried cutting out the outline of a tree, which could be an interesting way to add some depth or dimension to a flat painted backdrop, and I even experimented with engraving a full background. The first result wasn't perfect, and the settings definitely need some tweaking for better definition, but it gave me some ideas. For example, I could engrave just the moon and a few trees as a guide and then paint over it. It's something I'll definitely want to explore more in the future. Now let's talk a bit about the machine itself, because one of the things that surprised me the most was how easy it is to use. It's basically plug and play. I had zero experience with lasers, but I didn't even have to read the manual to get started with the built-in test projects. As well as the basic engraving functions like text or simple logos. And after watching a quick 10-minute tutorial online, I was already connecting it to my PC, loading up my own designs and pressing play. Now it wouldn't be a video of mine without some painting in it, so I picked up an arrangement of different browns to begin working on the scene. Since last week was all about painting wood, how about we close the topic by having a look at how to paint it if we have no texture. The brush I'm using used to be a number 1, but now it can barely be considered a brush in its current state. Good thing is we won't be needing a nice point for this effect. After giving each plank a base coat of chocolate brown, I slowly introduced orange brown and yellow ochre into that same mix to highlight. As you can see, I picked one side of the planks to focus on for each direction, and highlighted using scratchy lines which became more sparse on the opposite side. As we go brighter and brighter to the point where I'm just painting a sharp line on one of the sides, the effect will begin to take shape and give this flat floor the illusion of volume. Finally, like I did on the terrain for the Scaventide box, I used some homemade pigments to create a faint shadow to blend the place where the floor and the wall met. I know this was a very different video than my normal painting tutorials, but this collaboration really sparked my curiosity. There will be an affiliate link in the description to the AlgoLaser shop if you are thinking on giving laser cutting a try. It is a good way to help the channel at no extra cost for you. With that said, thank you for watching and I hope to see you for the next one.